All right. Let's take a look here. I think we're live. Yeah, we are totally live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you. Some familiar faces. Hello. My cat says hello too. This is not a box walkthrough. This is a bit of a forum, if you will, talking about diversity here at Offsec. So, yeah.
And if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat box and we'll answer them later on. Can't wait to get started.
Yeah, about 3 more minutes and then we'll be started, right? So we can let everybody trickle in.
Yeah. We'll wait a few more minutes.
I will not be hacking everybody here live. That will not be the case.
So someone will answer your question, Julian Crypt. You asked a question about needing help on EXP 301, and someone will answer your question shortly.
Really need help on EXP 301. Do you guys think it is possible to pay Offsec in order to get a one-on-one mentorship during a period of 1 to 2 days? So we do have Offsec Academy, which is a very similar thing. Aside from that, we also have the student mentors. You must remember, if you do get the EXP 301, we have student mentors, and they should be able to help you in Discord in the respective channels. So if you took Pen 200, it'd be the Pen 200 on Discord, EXP 301, EXP 301 channels on Discord. And those are going to be there for you to talk about, you know, exercises, you know, where you're at in the challenges and that kind of a thing. So yeah, you get that's a service that we provide. And we're very proud of each and every one of our student mentors. So absolutely.
All right. We are going to get started in 10 seconds. So I hope everybody's ready.
Julian, hit me up with a message over Discord in a direct message, and I'll go ahead and answer your question then, all right? If that's the case.
All right, thank you. So hello and welcome to Offset Live. My name is Sabrina and I am the Community Engagement Manager for Offensive Security. Today's topic is about our cyber diversity in action and its mission to closing the diversity gap in cybersecurity. We have three special guests to discuss diversity in tech and breaking through the barriers. But first, before I introduce them, I want to talk about the lack of diversity in the cybersecurity workforce. So CPS data science team found that in the US, the most common ethnicity of cybersecurity analysts is white, followed by Asian, Black or African American, and Hispanic or Latino. So overall, minority representation within the cybersecurity field is around 26%. And 21.5% of all cybersecurity analysts are women, while 78.5% are men. So let's take a look at the consequences. So the first issue, missed talent. By not tapping into a pool of available talent, the industry is missing out on valuable perspectives, ideas, and innovations. The next issue we have is lack of inclusiveness, and that can negatively impact employee morale and company culture. Then we have inadequate representation of users. A cybersecurity workforce lacking diversity will not be equipped to understand the needs, serve the needs of a diverse user base. And then with the last issue is increased risk. So a lack of diversity, again, in the workforce can lead to a lack of diversity in thought. This can result in blind spots and increase the risk of cyber attacks. So for example, female leaders can bring experience and technical skills to the table, but also essential soft skills, including analytical, communication, and interpersonal skills. And research shows that the more diversity in teams, the more effective they are going to be. So the question is, what is Offsec doing? We're applying our try harder mindset to moving forward and beyond a male-dominated InfoSec industry to one where everyone has access to world-class cybersecurity training. And with this, we have the Giving Program. So Offsec launched a Giving Program back in 2020, and it's called Cyber Diversity in Action. And it is an initiative where Offsec gives PWK Pen 200 courses to charities, foundations, or nonprofits worldwide. And our mission is to support organizations focused on bridging the diversity gap in cybersecurity and information security. So these include women, Blacks, LGBTQ, Latinx, disabled, Indigenous people, and individuals living below the poverty line, where access to training is limited based on their income. So our goal is to impact lives around the world, aspiring to work in the growing field of cybersecurity. And it starts with education. So since this launch, since we launched this program, over 150 students received PWK courses, and it has changed their lives. Together, we can break through barriers driven by the passion of people who want to make a difference in cybersecurity. And if you have any questions, again, just drop it into the chat box and we will answer them later on. So now you have learned about Offsec's Giving Program. I want to bring three staff members to the stage. So please welcome Siren, Saeed, and Jorge, and they are all from Offsec. First of all, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be here today to share your journey into the cybersecurity industry and also talk about how to overcome some of the challenges for those that are from backgrounds of underrepresented in cybersecurity. So let's get started. I would like you all to introduce yourselves and tell us what you do at Offsec. So let's say, Jorge, you are on my left, if you can introduce yourself.
Okay, perfect. Hi, my name is Jorge. I work in Offsec as a content developer for the secure software development learning path. I've been in the industry for more than 10 years. I didn't start in security. I was a programmer first, but I pivoted a few years ago and I couldn't be happier about it.
Thank you. And then below is Saeed. If you can
Hello everyone. I'm Saeed Bala, and I am a junior vulnerable machine engineer at Offensive Security. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And then Siren.
Hello, everybody. My name is Siren with Offensive Security. I do content, web development, and research. And many of you know me from the community streams that we do together. We hack all those boxes. So probably just a combination of those two things.
Thank you. So I have a marketing background. I've been doing that for over 20 years and working in the beverage and healthcare industry. And I joined Offensive Security last year. So cybersecurity is new to me. And the reason why I joined and entered this field is because I wanted to broaden my horizons. And I have no family and friends that work in cybersecurity. So it was all very new to me. But I like the challenge of learning something different. So my question to you all is, what inspired you to pursue a career in cybersecurity? And I will go back. So this time we'll start with Siren, then Saeed, and then Jorge.
Right. So my inspiration for stepping into cybersecurity was honestly back when I was in like middle school and I was learning programming and writing down code from a website that used to be a lot like the exploit database, which Offensive Security now proudly maintains. And I was fascinated by that kind of stuff. You know, when I was in middle school, I was absolutely fascinated. This is like the core of how I got into cybersecurity. I usually grew up seeing the concept, like when it comes to weapons engineering, weapons development, stuff like that, I used to think kinetic weaponry, ballistic weaponry, you know, your typical ammunition into a gun, gun goes bang, that kind of thing. The concept to me that really stood out in this world is that you can have weaponized code. I'd never heard of that before in my life. I was like, how in the heck can you have code that could potentially hurt a person or, to my little did I know at that point, bring entire organizations to their knees without firing an actual bullet? So that was beyond fascinating to me. And it was how I learned coding. I would take apart little code snippets. In middle school, I remember I'd had like a little binder, and we didn't really have a printer back then. So I just had to like commit it like to photographic memory, or like I'd write it down and then I'd memorize it, just like repetition, repetition, repetition. And I got really interested into that kind of stuff. I felt like, you know, I was in on something. I looked around at the rest of my class and I felt like I stood out because everyone was doing their thing. And here I was working on weaponized code, you know. I felt different. I felt quirky. And of course I was young, but, you know, that is the truth of it. That's how I got into it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, mine is a funny story, very funny. So that was back as after senior high school, and I was attending NIIT doing computer science. I was assigned with a task which was developing Java applications. And I was 2 weeks late on this project. I was so frustrated on this, and I don't know why till this day I still hate Java. That's my side. And after being late on submitting my program, I just got bored of everything. I said, I need to change something. Software, I think building software is not my thing. So what can I do? So I started playing around, reading, and I stumbled upon a blog post which was about hacking Android phones. By then I was using an Android phone. I said, wow, how do I hack? What is hacking and how do I go about this? Then I just started from there, reading, watching videos, and I hacked my first phone. And from there, I started asking another question. If I can hack a phone, can I hack my computer? That's when I jumped to computer. Then from computer, I just started reading and then having fun. And the main thing that actually pushed me to continue was in the process of reading on how to hack phone and then my computer, I stumbled upon a movie, Mr. Robot. So Mr. Robot just gave me the push back into industry, and then I just went with the flow. So that's my story, and it's a funny one.
Thank you, Saeed. That's good.
So I started, there are two origin stories for me. Like the first one is on a personal level, and the second one is on a professional level. So on a personal level, hacking became something interesting to me when I was a kid. I used to love playing Pokemon, and there was this particular glitch that overrode a particular memory space that allowed users to clone items. It's called the old man glitch. So that was amazing to me, and that drove me to programming. So fast forward probably 10 years after that, I was already established, as a programmer. I loved my job. I was also doing some sysadmin tasks here and there. And one day we were hacked. And it was an awful experience. I had no idea about incident response. I didn't know why my code was wrong. It was terrible. So the thing is, back when this happened, there weren't too many learning resources about, how to secure your code. So my option was, well, I need to learn how attackers do what they do, and then I might get a better idea of how to defend my code. So that's what I did. And at first, it was just a way to become a better programmer, but eventually I started to love it. So I put in the work. I even got my OSCP a few years ago, and here I am.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Brings back memories when I used to cheat 20 years ago when I used to play The Sims. Somebody shared some of the codes that you had to enter to get more money or items. So it just brings back memories as you mentioned that. So thank you all. So my next question is, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career and how did you tackle it? So I guess Saeed can start by answering this question.
That's an interesting question. And the first one, the first and most challenging is doubts. After I stopped I had to stop attending school back then, and they're like, why did you stop? I told them, no, I don't think this is for me. I'm choosing cybersecurity. And everyone was like, do you think you can do it? Have you heard of someone doing it before? Are you sure you can do it? That type of doubts around you, and why everyone is going to school. You are busy at home doing nothing on the computer. Also go to school. I was like, no, I don't want to go to school. So doubt is the first one. Some family members doubt I'll make it. Friends, a whole lot of friends, like, you have to go to school. I said, no, I won't go. Then okay. We know at the end of the day, you are going to be at home, because in here, you have to go to school to get the degrees in order to secure a job. Whilst we are attending, you are at home, and I guarantee you are going to be at home forever. I said, okay, whatever it is, this is what I need, and I'm going to follow the path. Either I make it or I fail. I wouldn't know till I try. So the first is doubt, and then the second, which is, it's a challenge, but not that much of a challenge, was internet issues down here. I live in the West African part of Africa, and that's Ghana, and I have this little internet issue. So back then, I didn't have the money to have a stable internet at home, so I had to go to the internet cafe, just purchase time, which is 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, download as much resources as I can, then go back home, try everything offline until I purchase a modem, and that was how come. So internet and then doubts. Doubts is number one and internet issues number two. So that's my side.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
I spoke to someone recently who lives in Zimbabwe in a rural town, and she has issues accessing the internet, stable connection. So doing any type of online courses is a issue for her. It's difficult to do any online training. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's say, Siren, you want to go next?
I'll go next. Absolutely. So the question was, what are some of the biggest challenges that we face in the career?
Yeah.
This one for me, the biggest thing, I did some thinking, right? You know, what is the biggest thing actually that I faced that was a struggle? The biggest challenge, and by far it was my stress levels. I didn't just dive into cybersecurity. Like I dove in and then I swam along the bottom of the floor, you know, like I got familiar with the pool, everything. And I was definitely one of those people that, you know, dived in pretty hardcore. So as a result of that, I kind of got like a lot of stress from the work that I was doing. And for me, working in information security has a lot of stuff that comes with it that turns, you know, that people might not be aware of or be aware of even entering the job. Or they might be aware of it, but they might not seriously take into account how hard hitting it can be. So that's been the biggest struggle for me, is not getting burned out, right? Because especially in information security, burnout can happen, like for real, it can happen. And not getting burned out and keeping that mental focus as a balance between, you know, your work life and your life, your play, enjoying your time on this earth. So there's definitely a balance to be had and struck between the two. And for me, the hardest part of working in information security due to that burnout is just coping with the stress and finding a way to put aside, you know, it's like, oh, I could work on that right now. And it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And your brain is like, just get it done, just get it done. And I'm thinking, I gotta draw a line in the sand mentally. And that happened time and time and time again, especially when I was studying. I don't know if anybody in the chat right now can relate to what I'm saying, but when you're studying and you're 3/4 of the way through a module and you've made it through everything and you're like, oh, just another hour and we can complete this module and we'll move on to the next one, clean slate tomorrow. That was me. Like, I totally related to that. So we all got a taste of getting into information security and the amount of information. Like, it's like jumping into a big video game and you don't know anything about the rules. It's just information overload, and there's a pop-up here and a pop-up there and a pop-up here and a pop-up there. And a lot of people get turned off by that kind of thing because it's information overload. That's where the burnout happens. That's where the stress happens. And so being able to manage and kind of like cruise along that wavelength, so to speak, of, you know, okay, Siren, this is work time. This is when we chill. This is when we relax. This is when we work out, you know, whatever it may be. And not going back to my work. Like that's been the biggest struggle for me. Jorge?
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the biggest challenge I faced when I started, you know, transitioning from programming to pen testing was the fact that I used to think too much as a programmer. You know, when you're writing code, you need to be structured. You need to flow logically. But when you attack, you need to embrace chaos. So, and another problem you have is that you put yourself in the position of the person who developed the application you're attacking. So you create those perceptions that shouldn't be there, like, of course I didn't make this mistake, so why would I bother trying? So you're sabotaging yourself there by not trying things that you know might be there, but you think they're too obvious to actually be there. So that's an issue that it took a while to overcome. And also, and I think the most important one is knowing when it's time to ask for help. Because you get stuck in rabbit holes a lot of times, and you need to get some insights about yourself to know that when enough is enough. So okay, it's now time to just take a walk through, or just search for a solution online or something like that. Because sometimes it's a good learning experience, but sometimes you're just burning out. So you need to know when it's worth it and when it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's good to hear what you guys are saying about burnout and just finding that balance. I think when you love what you do at work, it's hard to switch off and walk away. But finding the balance is important to get some good sleep and refresh for the next day. So thanks for sharing your, the challenges and how you tackled it. And my next question is, if someone wants to enter the cybersecurity industry, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give them? So I think whoever wants to answer this question first and jump in can go first.
I'll go.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess the most important thing is you need to start somewhere, and it doesn't matter where. So it might not be feasible for you to start being a pen tester just when you start your working life, but there are some other places that have lower barriers of entry. Like you can be a programmer, you can go into DevOps, into system administration. Those tasks are also very useful for you in your path to becoming a pen tester, because the insights you gain from doing those day-to-day tasks are the things that you're going to use when you're attacking an infrastructure. So they're very valuable. Also, you need to try and find what you enjoy about cybersecurity and just focus on that, because cybersecurity is a very large field. So it's easy to get lost here. You don't have to be an expert at everything. If you are a web assessor, go ahead, focus on that. You don't have to be an expert on binary exploitation to be able to be proficient at web attacking. So you just need to find what your niche is and focus on that. Also, try to befriend someone who's already on the field. They will be able to give you insights that will save you some time, because you're not going to make the same mistakes. So that's also a very useful thing to do.
Thank you.
I don't know who wants to go next.
No.
All right. So I'll give a general advice for beginners, which is 1, and the most important thing, you need to love what you're doing. That's the first thing I'll say. You need to love what you're doing. And then the second is you need to dedicate time to this. You need serious amount of dedication in order to gain the skills you need to push you forward. And after dedicating your time to it, you also have to be persistent, because not all the time that whatever you're doing is going to go smoothly. There are days, or you could get stuck for days, weeks, if possible, a month. So first, love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, once you get stuck, you let go of it. You wouldn't bother to focus on it. Second, dedicate as much time as possible to it. Like Saeed said, make sure you balance your life, and then know when to sleep and when not to sleep. So love what you're doing, dedicate your time, and then be persistent. If you get stuck, keep pushing. Don't stop there. Go read or ask someone, come back and try. You always have to start somewhere, like he said, and love it, dedicate, and do it. That's all I'll say on this.
Thank you.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice there, actually. And so the question is, if someone wants to get into cybersecurity, what are 3 pieces of advice that you would give them? For me, I would say go for your OSCP. Don't say I can't do it. Don't say it's too much, it's too hard, it's too difficult. You learn the TCP/IP, the computer science, you learn those things that they would teach you in school. Kind of like Saeed was saying, you're learning that, you're self-teaching that, you're you're doing that work yourself. And it's incredibly important that you do that, that you make it personal, like make it personal, and your learning will go up as a result. But walk through, you know, the community streams that we do, developing that methodology. Like, I can't tell you how much this industry has changed in 5 years. 5 years ago, we never held streams on Twitch. 5 years ago, we never even thought about having a Discord server. We were in IRC, and that was it. You know what I mean? That was our outreach. That was what we had. And I feel like making use of the resources that offensive security has provided, like the Twitch streams, like I know Jorge had one recently talking about secure coding development, making use of those free resources that Offsec is providing, right, is going to be inevitable, because, you know, when I was going for my OSCP, I didn't have that. And in fact, it's one of the main reasons that you guys know I do this. I try to provide a methodology is because I didn't have one. And it came from actually somebody who works that I look up to very much, named Got Milk at Offensive Security. And we're all very proud of everything that he has done. So like total rock star. I just took like a little piece, an idea of his methodology to this completely complex thing and started putting it into notation form. So I would say, one, use those resources. Those resources, that's 5 years of resources that's raw and that's in there that you can utilize, that'll help you excel, kind of a thing, instead of having to come up with it yourself. Number two, make your resume. Whenever you submit your resume, make sure that you include the absolute best stuff on the first page and the second page, right? That way a hiring manager doesn't have to scroll through 10 pages. I made that mistake early on, going into every little fine detail, right? So, you know, you kind of want to just make sure that it's short, sweet, to the point, and but still like a nutrition bar. It's small, but it packs everything you need, right? So very much that same kind of concept. And then the third thing is, you know, make a determination, and this is, I can't stress this enough, okay? Make a determination in your mind as to what really interests you in the world of cybersecurity. Like, is it protecting people's information that you're interested in? Is it their physical well-being? You know, you're doing an organization for a private industry, private sector, and, you know, you have to get involved in those kinds of things. Is it protecting them physically? Is it protecting their information? Is it vulnerability research that you're interested in? Like, we had somebody in the chat earlier that mentioned the EXP 301. Clearly, we know where they're going, right? So, and kudos to you. Absolutely. By the way, congrats. I would say, you know, for me, it was a lot of everything. But with the sole focus on web attacks and the web surface. But make sure you ask yourselves those questions. You know, what is my speciality, and what am I really in it for? You know, and I think that will come out in your work. That'll come out with your colleagues. That'll come out with everything that you do. And those are my three core pieces of advice.
Well, thank you all for your advice. Really good advice for everybody listening to this show. And talking about advice, I always turn to my family and friends, selected friends, for advice, whether it comes to my career or outside of my career. I always turn to them. And for cybersecurity, my dad was the driving force for me with support. So my question to you all is, did you have any support from family and friends? And let's say, Jorge, do you want to answer that question? Then we'll go down to Saeed and then to Siren.
So without support from your family and friends, this journey is not possible. You need to understand, as Saeed said, you need to put in a lot of hours to be able to become somewhat competent at this. So as long as the people who are around you understand that, you're not going to have any issues. And shout out to my wife, by the way, she's listening. And she had a lot of patience with me, because there were days that I would be solving boxes nonstop. And there were other days when I wasn't successful at that, and I would get depressed, but she would cheer me up. She would tell me that everything is already in front of me. Maybe I just need to read more. And those words of comfort mean the world for someone. So if you don't have a support system in place, this is a lot more difficult.
That's a good point.
Family, yes, you need love from family, a whole lot of love and support. Friends, yes, and I'll focus more on friends. With family, even though you stay at home with them, you don't associate as much with them like your friends. You hang out with your friends a lot more than family, even though you live with family. So with friends, you need to know the type of friends to hang out with. I'm not saying be judgmental towards your friends, no, but know the type of friends to hang out with. Friends that have interest in this field will help you grow a lot more in this field. It's good to have friends from different aspects. You get to learn different things from them, but know the people you hang out with and then choose your friends very well at the starting point. Because if you have friends who are not interested in this, you sit on your computer, then they send a text, hey, let's go to a club. And you're like, let me go to the club. You forget about typing. But once you have friends that are really much into this, you sit on your computer and you text them, hey guys, I'm about to do something. Would you want to join me? Or do you have any idea? Then you'll be like, yes, I've tried this before. You know, you don't get to sit away from your computer, but you're always going to be on your computer. So I'll go with friends, be selective with your friends. If you're starting, know the friends to hang out with and then the friends to keep around you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, someone said to me, mind your company. So be careful who you hang with. And I always remember that quote, mind your company. All right, thank you. And then Siren.
So friends, right? Friends are incredibly important to have. And also your family is incredibly important to have. I would say I definitely had a support group, both from my family and friends for sure. Without them, it could have been even more difficult, right? So I remember even just being in a VoIP call with some friends, and I just, started humming that song, call Offsec, them all the very best. Call Offsec for penetration tests. And they all started laughing because they knew I was working on my certification at that time. But, in general, I explained to them what it was, and they gave a lot of support, towards my passion and, what I was doing and ethical hacking and that whole kind of concept, and, that I would shine in it. I don't know, but the point is, it was supportive, and it was a time that really stood out to me. So also having your family there, right, as a fallback group. I mentioned this in another session that offensive security held, but having your family there as a fallback, right, is always super important, because they're going to be there to help you, encourage you, and you can always talk to them about how you're doing mentally, physically, and so on and so forth. And I mean, to my parents, what I do is just pure magic. Like at the end of the day, to my parents, to my family, extended family, what I do is nothing but witchcraft and sorcery, and it's super awesome. And they're just proud that, I get to help offensive security, teach a bunch of people and everything, but they have no idea. I remember I was with my mother speaking on this concept of a supportive base. I was with her a few days ago. She said, sweetheart, she said, I did watch that video that you sent me of that Twitch live stream, and me and my husband watched it, and we watched it for about 15 minutes. And she said, we didn't understand a thing that you were saying, but you were a great educator and you were spot on. It's like they're able to notice those things, and they're able to be that support group that you need. And so absolutely, friends and family for sure, incredible resource.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that story. It's great when you have people that support you, even if they don't understand what on earth you do. But, just to be there for emotional support is so important. My mom has no idea. Well, I used to do marketing, and she had no idea what that involved, and I explained it several times and she still didn't understand it, but just being there for emotional support is so important. And in the role that I have right now as a community engagement manager, the skills that one needs for my position is customer service skills and analytical and communication as well. And I would love to know, in your opinion, what is the most important personality trait or strength or skill someone would need to work in this industry and be successful in your job as an engineer? So let's say, who can go first? Let's go to Jorge.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if you want to focus on attacking, on defending. I think there was this article like 15 years ago, or maybe even more. It was written by Bruce Schneier. It's called The Security Mindset. And the article says something that when you are a security professional, you start thinking differently. You see a product and you see it not only as at what it does, but what you could do with it if you were given, the circumstances allow it. So just to give you an example, and I normally go with my wife to the mall every weekend, and they have someone, before you can enter, they check you with a hand metal detector. So my wife was pregnant at the time, but before she was pregnant, I noticed that they would check both of us. So when she was noticeably pregnant, they stopped checking her, but they would still check her purse. Okay, so fast forward a few months, my baby was born, and I noticed that when I was pushing the stroller with my baby, they would check everything. But if my wife would push the stroller, they wouldn't check her at all. So one day, I just put something metallic. I don't remember what it was. I just put it, inside the bag and put it like beneath the stroller and pushed it. I had my wife push it just to see if I could smuggle something, and I could. So it was interesting, to even think about those things, because that's part of the security mindset. You just don't see the process. You see how to try to exploit it in a way to achieve something that shouldn't be possible. So I think that's the most important personality trait you need to have.
That's a good point. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so Saeed, do you want to go next?
Okay, so I'll say be curious. Even though they say curiosity kills the cat, but be curious. That's first. And then second and most important, which I usually do, is don't stop asking questions and never be afraid to ask a question. My mentors will say, they'll look at me and they tell me that, sometimes you ask stupid questions, right? Then I'll tell them, yes, I know. I don't know. I asked a stupid question. Not until you mentioned that. But now that I know this is a stupid question, I'll know that it's not advisable to ask a similar question like that next time to anyone. So don't ask, don't be scared of asking questions. Ask any question that comes to your mind related to the field. I'm trying to do this. Is it possible to do it this way or that way? Sometimes you think out of the box and you think way crazy, which is almost impossible, but try and ask questions. So be curious, learn to try things on your own. And when it's time to ask a question, don't be scared to ask a question. Just ask regardless. There's no harm in asking. So that's the advice I'll give to anyone who is driving into the engineering field.
Oh, thank you. It's a good point too. Always ask questions, no matter what. Okay, and then Siren.
Yeah, so those answers are like much better than my answers, dude. Honestly, they are way better. My answer was just like an all around, regardless of whether you work in security or not. I feel like there's being approachable, right? Being approachable as a person, by far is like being appreciative of each other. So wherever you are, whether you work in security or not, being appreciative of each other and not being afraid to be appreciative of each other and to show, what each other does well and good, and encourage your teammates, that kind of a thing, wherever you are in the world in your career, whether it's working in a retail store while you're doing study for your advanced curriculum and such. I feel like being approachable and being showing appreciation, that like I used to work, one thing, I'm not gonna say exactly who, but I used to work for a Canadian organization, and everybody knows Canadians are renowned for their politeness and kindness. And I'm gonna tell you, I would get emails after performing an assessment or engagement, and they'd be like, tell Siren they did like such an amazing job. We can't wait to have her back next year or whatever, and to do this again. It was a very enjoyable experience. They kind of taught me that, because when I started to get that stuff, I felt so largely appreciated for the hard work and effort that I had put in, right? I felt largely appreciated. I felt like what I did mattered. And I try to carry that over now. I don't work with them anymore, but I now try to carry that principle, being polite, being kind, being approachable, and showing appreciation to the people that you work with. So definitely that's my core set of concepts that I would bring in there.
Thanks for sharing your core values. Mine is gratitude, practicing that. Gratitude and being appreciative of what I have, and having courage as well, and stepping out of my comfort zone. So those are some of my core values that I use, whether it's at work or outside, and integrity. And Jorge and Saeed, we can share some of your core values.
Saeed, you want to go first?
Yeah. Okay. One, mine is prayerful. I always make sure to pray, religious by nature, so that's understandable. Anything I want to do, I first committed into the hands of my creator. I just say, I'm about to start this. I know you know already, but I just want to let you know I want to start this. So guide me through. And then second, like you said, be grateful for whatever you have. Appreciate all that's around you, both good and bad. And then the third, curious. I'm always curious. I like to try new things. So I love having fun. That's me by nature. So always try to have fun, be prayerful, be grateful, and just have fun. Those are my core values.
Thank you.
In my case, my core values are mostly honesty, even if it's not pleasant for the other person or for myself. I think honesty is the most important thing. And also, I value effort over results anytime, because you don't know if the other person or even yourself, you can be having a bad day, but you put in the work, and that's the most important part. I mean, there was this one time when I had a cryptography exam. I'm terrible at that, but I studied a lot, and I almost failed the exam. But I didn't feel sad, mostly because I know I studied and I worked hard at it. So that's it, effort over results and honesty.
Oh, thank you. That's good to hear. So that leads me to the next question. What would it be if you could change one thing about this industry?
I'll bite.
Okay.
One thing I dislike about this industry, like a lot, is that people create artificial barriers of entry. It's ridiculous. What do I need to do to be able to X, Y, Z? And they give you like a million prerequisites. It's ridiculous. I mean, and I think it's a way to scare people away from the field, which shouldn't be the case. But I think we should be more welcoming in general. And those artificial barriers of entry do not help that case.
That's a good point. Wow.
I actually had something like that in mind. And what I don't like about this industry is interviews, especially when you're applying for work. Most companies focus on certifications, which is good. It's good to have a certificate because it proves you have the skill to do ABC. But the main problem here is not everyone has enough resource or funding in order to acquire such certifications. Some people learn a whole lot on their own at home. So when they apply for the job, they are applying solely because they think they have the necessary skill to execute that task. But because they don't have that certification on their resume, you push them away, which is, I think, something I really hate, because it took me a long time to actually land my first job. And on my first interview, I was pushed back because I didn't have a certificate, or I didn't have a particular certificate. And the funny thing is, 6 months after the panel told me, no, they can't hire me for not having ABC certificate, one of the panel called me asking me if I had resources for him because he's about to write that same exam. I sat at him and I was like, wait, what? You didn't employ me because I don't have ABC, and you're calling me to find out if I have resources for you to study on ABC? That's not making sense. So certifications is good. Yes, I'm not against certifications. I'm 100% in support of certifications. You need to have certificates to prove you have ABC skill. But most companies need to understand that not everyone has the funding to actually go for ABC certificates because of 1 or 2 reasons. So if it is a technical job, give the person a technical interview. Give him the task. Let him show, like, talk is cheap. Show me the code. Simple as that. Here is it. Do it. Let us see. So that's one thing I will change. Thank you.
Oh, so in most interviews, they don't have like technical tests. Ah, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. And Siren, is there anything you want to share as well? Anything you can change about this industry?
So yeah, pretty much what's already been said, right? If I could magically snap my fingers and change one thing about this industry, what would it be? And it would be how often people get hired for jobs. There's a massive gatekeeping that happens, especially in cybersecurity. And I feel like there could be more creative solutions for getting people into proactive security, into organizations, and with less gatekeeping, or at least different structures behind the scenes for how we get people in there, right? Because right now you have a lot of talent. Like Saeed said, so many people that study at home, they work at home, they tirelessly, even day in, day out, and just hacking and cracking a bunch of vulnerable machines, taking notation, learning a lot of TCP IP network infrastructure kind of concepts. You end up teaching yourself a lot, binary exploitation, web exploitation, which is exactly what the company is looking to hire you for. So I would, if I could snap my fingers right now, that would be what I'd change. We'd get more people in more jobs and larger security departments, firmer junior and more foundational entry points, to be more respectful to the people that are coming in. You're not just a junior programmer here. I mean, this is not comp sci, this is comp sec. And it's a science, and it's a thing just like computer science. It's a science, right? And it's always changing, it's always adapting, and you can never stop thinking about it. So just looking at a piece of paper for somebody that's new and doesn't have, the old catch-22, right? Don't have enough experience to be able to get the job, but you could really be missing out on somebody who would absolutely be an invaluable asset for your organization. So if I could Thanos snap that into reality, that is exactly what I would do. No questions, dude. That wouldn't be that.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you guys for your opinions on that. And I just have one more question. And Who has been the most important professional mentor, and how did you find one? So, okay, I see Saeed laughing, so I'm going to have you start.
Oh, sorry. I'm laughing because who? I can't pinpoint one person, but I think if I'm going to generalize everything, I'll pick three people. One is Database Pantelis Editrice. He's super amazing. The second is the Cyber Geek, which is Matthew Badge. And the third is what, a super amazing friend. So these three people have played a very big role in my career. Since when I was starting, they taught me a whole lot, and I've learned a whole lot from them, asking questions, hacking with them, and actually completing tasks which were assigned to me by them. So today you'll be talking, then they'll tell you, I want you to go read on this, because tomorrow you're going to do that. And then how I met these people, I think I met what first, which was during my Hack the Box days. Yep, he helped me on one or two machines, and that was where our friendship started. Then CyberGeek second, he's a very interesting person. Then Database third, until date, I have good connections with Database and what. But CyberGeek's a little bit caught up with work, so we hardly communicate anymore. So why do I need a mentor? We know things in life, but we can't know everything. You know something I don't know. He knows something I don't know, just like Sari knows a whole lot of stuff that I don't know. I equally know something that all three of you don't know. So you need a mentor, you need someone who is in this field to share information, possibly not to share information all the time, but to guide you. Guidance doesn't mean that the person knows everything, no. If the person shares some advice, it's on to you to either pick the advice or no. But keep one thing in mind, that whoever is sharing the advice may have gone through that particular situation and has some experience. So the person is trying to prevent you from repeating the mistakes he or she has done. So you need a mentor, someone who is going to guide you, train you, share ideas with you, and also learn from you. Our mentors do learn from us. Most of them wouldn't admit it, but they do learn from us too. It's just that they won't admit it. So you just need someone to guide you, someone to read with, someone to study with, and someone who has the urge to make you grow, to help you grow. As a mentor, you don't need someone so that you be above the person all the time. No, you are training the person to be bigger than you so that the person also transfer the skill to the next generation. So as a mentor, just have a peaceful heart. That's what I'll say. Stay true and then stay true to go. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Saeed, for that. Does anyone else want to jump in?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to, like Saeed, I didn't have one mentor. I had three. I was lucky enough to have three great friends of mine, local friends. Like I actually know them in real life. Some of them went to high school with me. One of them went to undergrad with me. They already had a CTF team. So shout out to Andres, Fernando, and Benjamin. They created a team called APT 593, and they were already established. They were already competing, but they accepted me as one of them, and they taught me what I needed to learn to start. And after they gave me that confidence, is that I finally decided to transition completely. Because after competing with them for probably a year and a half, I decided I was ready for the OSCP. So I owe that to them. It's not only about sharing knowledge, but it's also providing the other person with the encouragement that they need to finally take the step and they need to take. So I guess I think that's even more important than just knowledge.
Yeah, thank you, Jorge. Appreciate that. And Siren, did you want to add anything before we close?
Yeah, absolutely. So regarding the concept of my first, important, professional mentor, buddy, oh buddy. So I did have one, but to respect their privacy, I am not going to name them. I mean, I could, but I won't kind of thing. So I will say that they were a part of a very special red team that was headed and maintained by an ex-SEAL. And we took our work very, very, very seriously. It was like military day in, day out. From, you know, surprise, you have an engagement at 3 o'clock in the morning, surprise, you have an engagement at 2 p.m. You know, it's important concepts. And at the end of every single day or morning, the timing was crazy for months and months and months on end. But, you know, it was things we learned, you know, things planned for the next day, ways to improve, and even just random flickering ideas, just flicking along ideas for how to improve our team every day. Even though we'd all said the same things a million times over, we'd have to repeat, how do we improve our team? How do we improve our team? How do we become more surgical and lethal as a red team? You know, what do we do? What do we actually commit to? And, you know, working with those people definitely was like, it was no joke, and it helped me a lot. But even from offensive security, I've had mentors before. Like I can mention, they're no longer with us here at Offsec, but they're off doing their own thing and having a great time. That's Alex Tech. So if you ever watch this, Alex Tech, shout out to you, because he was a student mentor who got me to appreciate and see the fun for how far I'd already come, like tackling a machine. And he was always encouraging and like, you know, you'll have a shell soon. You'll get this soon. Based upon what I see, you know, you'll have it soon. So it was more like a progressive kind of approach that I got from Alex Tech. So aside from that, yeah, those were definitely probably the most influential times, people, concepts that acted as a mentor towards me.
Oh, thank you very much, Siren. And I should quickly mention as well, for me, before I joined Offsec, it's Mr. William from school and also Bobby with their encouraging words. So professional mentors are very important. And to our audience, I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode, and thank you to the speakers as well. Great advice, great points that you've given to everybody. So we hope you enjoyed this session. We're able to gain some valuable information from it. And if you are a nonprofit, foundation, or community group that offers information security classes to underrepresented groups and interested in joining our program, you can email me, s.henry@offensivesecurity.com, and I can send you some more information. I'll just drop the email in the chat box. And then if you want to learn more about our courses, you know, you can always go to our website. That's in the chat box as well. And we are going to end this session because in just 2 minutes, we have office hour. So we'll have a panel of speakers. Offsec staff members will be talking about the courses, latest release updates, career advice, and more. So you can join us in the next couple of minutes. Okay, so thank you again to everybody. Take care. Bye.